You can see behind me the masses of people and Israeli flags, as well as those yellow flags that have come to symbolize the fate of the hostages, the plight of the hostages over the course of these last 2 years. What we have also been watching here are the families of some of these hostages who have been arriving here at this base, many of them coming in shuttle buses. In fact, I just had a moment to get into the road there and see Vicky Cohen. She is the mother of the Israeli soldier Nimrod Cohen, who was taken captive more than 2 years ago from a military base very close to here. She and I spent some time together just last weekend before October 7th, as we were talking about the way in which she had become really such a visible and powerful force in the hostage families movement. I just saw her. I asked her how she was feeling. She said great. She had a big, broad smile on her face. She was accompanied by her eldest son as well, who has also been fighting for his brother. A very different expression on their faces than the one that we have seen on their faces over the course of the last 2 years, because for so many of these hostage families, it's not only, finally being able to be reunited with their loved ones, it's the end of so much anguish and also the end of their fight. They have been fighting relentlessly, Wolf, over the course of these last 2 years, going to rally after rally, meeting with, officials here in Israel and abroad, including in the United States. So much power, so much strength in what they have been doing over the course of these last 2 years. And this is, of course, the culmination of all of those efforts.
And Jeremy, I just want to point out we have some good news coming in. We are now told that representatives of the International Red Cross have just started receiving hostages from Hamas. Israeli hostages are being handed over to the Red Cross. The Red Cross is the intermediary who will bring those hostages to Israel, and the hostage families are going to be so excited by that. Jeremy Diamond, stand by. Clarissa Ward, when they hear this news that hostages now are finally being handed over from Hamas to the Red Cross, who will bring them to Israel, that's going to be welcome news where you are, Clarissa, over at Hostages Square.
Wolf, I can tell you, because it happened just moments ago. The announcement came that the hostages were in the hands of the Red Cross, and this entire crowd cheered at the top of their lungs. I'm surprised, honestly, you couldn't hear it from the rooftop of the hotel where you are now. It was extraordinary. We have seen this square, which has become a sort of focal point for the movement to bring the hostages home, just fill up in the last few hours. Some people came here as early as 4 or 5 in the morning before sunrise to guarantee that they could get themselves a place to witness history, Wolf, because that is what is happening here now. There are many thousands of people who are here. You can see that clock behind me. That clock marks every second, every minute, every hour, every day that these hostages have been held in captivity. And now, for the first time, Israelis really starting to embrace the very real possibility that that clock will finally stop with the arrival of these 20 hostages. And I will say, you can probably feel just the shift even then, Wolf. You go from moments of elation where the crowd is cheering to moments of real quiet, of real sadness, of real grief. We see a lot of tears in the crowd, a lot of emotion, a lot of posters as well for the hostages who will not be coming home alive today, who have been killed in captivity, who will be coming home in coffins. And so you feel this sort of extraordinary wave of different emotions with Israelis of all different political ideologies and backgrounds coming together in a display of unity, of joy, of grief, of sadness. There's a sense of serenity and calm. It's been such a long wait for these people, for these families, for the hostages who have been released and who have championed tirelessly around the clock to see all their fellow hostages home. And now we wait for the the moment that these people, the entire country and the entire world will finally hear the words that those hostages are back in Israel, Wolf.
And we're getting some very, very encouraging news right now, Clarissa, and you can share it with hostage family members who are there where you are at Hostage Square here in Tel Aviv. The first seven Israeli hostages alive have now been officially handed over from Hamas to representatives from the International Red Cross, who will bring these first 7 Israeli hostages back to Israel, and they'll be reunited with their family very, very soon. We're going to continue our live special coverage of all of these dramatic developments, and we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. I'm Wolf Blitzer reporting live from Tel Aviv, and right now we're following our breaking news. The process to release the remaining 20 alive Israeli hostages in Gaza is now underway. The first group of 7 living hostages, that first group has now been handed over to representatives from the International Red Cross by Hamas, and they will be making their way through the International Red Cross back to Israel. That according to 2 well-placed Israeli sources. The hostages are set to arrive at the Reim military base, crossing in from Gaza. Reim is in southern Israel, not very far from Gaza. And that's where their families, so many of their families, have been gathering, according to the Hostages and Missing Families Forum. Israel will also release hundreds of Palestinian prisoners and detainees as part of this first phase of the U.S. brokered agreement. President Trump put forward a 20-point peace proposal, and it is being implemented right now. The ceasefire is holding. All of this is underway as President Trump is currently on his way here to Israel. He's expected to land at Ben Gurion Airport soon and then meet with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, as well as representatives of the families of the hostages, and later he will address Israel's Knesset, the parliament in Jerusalem, deliver a major speech. We'll, of course, have live coverage of all of these developments. CNN's Jeremy Diamond is at Reim. CNN's Clarissa Ward is at Hostages Square in Tel Aviv for us. Jeremy, you're there right now. Any indication that any of those hostages have already made it through the International Red Cross to Reim, the military base where you are?
Well, no indication yet, Wolf. We know that that journey from Gaza in those Red Cross vehicles to this Reim base can take a bit of time, although, no more than a half hour, I would expect. And so really at any moment, we could be seeing those 7 first freed Israeli hostages today arriving at this Reim military base, where they will have their first reunions with some of their family members. We've been watching as those family members have been arriving on the road right behind me, which, as you can see, is lined with hundreds of Israelis who have come out here to show their support for those families and for those newly freed hostages. I also have the names, Wolf, of these 7 Israeli hostages who have been released in just the last 20 minutes or so by Hamas into the hands of the Red Cross, and who are on their way to this Reim military base. And I'm going to read them out to you. They include Gali and Ziv Berman. These are 2 twins who were taken from kibbutz Kfar Aza on October 7th. Eitan Moore, who was working as a security guard at the Nova Music Festival that day. You have Omri Miran, a father of 2 young girls who has been held for more than 2 years now. He was taken from a kibbutz in this area as well. Matan Angres, an Israeli soldier who was also, I should note, held for a very long time with the American hostage Keith Siegel, who I interviewed earlier this year. Alon Ohel, who was also taken from the Nova Music Festival. He has now been released, as well as Guy Gilboa Dalal. That makes 7 Israeli hostages who have been released from Hamas captivity after more than 2 years being held by Hamas. We do not yet know what their condition is, but we do know that here at the Reim military base is where they will receive an initial medical evaluation. Depending on their condition, they will either spend time with their families here, or if there's a sense that they need immediate medical attention, they will then be taken directly in helicopters to those hospitals in the Tel Aviv area. Wolf.
fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing.